Come, 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 come out and play. Hey child, hey child, hey child, hey child, come, 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 come out and play, out and play, out and play.
Welcome to our October chapel here at Star King School for the Ministry. This month, we attune to the spirit of holding multitudes. My name is Teama Shear, and I have the great delight and honor to be co-weaving this chapel with our fall semester's transformative ritual craft class. In our weaving today, our intention, our desire, our hope, our prayer is that this time be a balm for the soul. This time be an attunement for you to what you most need, to what supports you connecting to yourself, to your center, to deep remembering, to what you hold sacred or what you hold to be most potent, nourishing, and true. Our time together is an invitation to be with the multitudes that you hold, to let the braiding that is intricate and complex also be simple and sweet, to let the myriad identities, myriad things that matter to you find their right place. Our hope and prayer is that amidst the intensity in the world, amidst the intensity in so many of our lives, this can be a place of refuge and of holding multitudes together. The invitation is to be in heart presence, to be in embodied devotion. You might in this moment listen for or presence for a quality, one quality that you wish to experience today, how you most want to feel in our time here. Letting that quality arise in your heart and attuning to that just even a little bit more, letting it be more possible that you might feel this way right now, that that quality ripple not only through our shared space, but through your day and into your life more fully. In our time together today, we hold so many prayers. We hold gratitude prayers for the millions of miracles that have already happened today, the millions of things that have gone right that let us be here, alive in our bodies, in this circle. In our time today, we acknowledge the many who are suffering, who are amidst devastation across the world. In particular, on my heart today are folks in Palestine and Lebanon, and particularly in those in the US on Turtle Island who are among deep impact from the recent storm. A number of folks in our communities that impact, and in particular, I'll name that one of our chapel co-weavers, one of our classmates today, Anastasia, is in Western North Carolina and tending disaster relief in her home community. She is well and hard at work at the radio station. And while she wasn't able to be here today, she has brought the liturgies that she intended to offer. And so we will be sharing them, those of us here, with additional prayer for those at impact, for their safety, for their nourishment, for their well-being. Thank you for your presence here. It is a gift to gather and to hold multitudes with you.
We now deepen into sacred space and time together. First, by naming and acknowledging the land that we are each joining from, and then by lighting our sacred flames. First, I invite you to turn your attention to your presence in physical space, your connection to the land that you are currently on. Perhaps you're able to feel the sun on your skin, or see trees or birds out of your window. Right now, I'm noticing the cloudy early autumn light where I am, and some of the first leaves changing colors outside. Let us feel our embodied connection to the land that we are on, and remember the many layers of relationship that connection contains. Complex multitudes of relationship that connect us to so many beings, and to all who have and do call our place home. In particular, may we honor with humility and gratitude the indigenous peoples of the land that we are on, those whose ancestral and living presence is embedded in the web of relationship that is each of the places we are joining from. I seek to honor the Massachusetts people, who are the ancestral inhabitants of my place, the city now known as Boston. In that honoring, I hold the depth of violence that the Massachusetts people have faced here, the genocide enacted by the colonists who founded my city. And with humility, I will be making my prayerful honoring more tangible with a donation to the Massachusetts tribe at Ponkapog, a local tribal organization. I now invite each of you to share in the chat more about the land that you are joining from, wherever you live and play and work and pray. You may now share in the chat. So we take in this sharing, honor each of our places. Let us also turn to the lighting of our sacred flames. First, we will light a flaming chalice together, sacred symbol of Unitarian Universalism, a faith path that some of us share. When we gather as a community, we light this flame with our Star King chalice lighting words, which I'll share in the chat. Please join me in saying them as I light our chalice. With the kindling of this flame, we reaffirm our commitment to accept life's gifts with grace and gratitude, and to use them to bless the world in the spirit of love. I'll now light white and red candles as part of a tradition created to accompany the chalice lighting by our Emerita President, Rebecca Parker. The white candle is a symbol of violence, of suffering and death, and a reminder, in this moment in particular, that we gather in a time of horrific war. And the red candle reminds us of the abiding reality of love that we carry with us always. A reminder of our shared work to restore the human community and the earth to wholeness and harmony. May it be so.
Reading from the Tao Te Ching, chosen by Anastasia, translated by Ursula de Guin. 30 spokes meet in the hub. Where the wheel isn't, is where it's useful. Hollowed out, clay makes a pot. Where the pot is not, is where it's useful. Cut doors and windows to make a room. Where the room isn't, there's room for you. So the profit in what is in the use of what isn't.
Focus your gaze on the Vesica Piscis before you, the ancient form where two circles intersect and share a common space. This simple yet profound shape has been revered across millennia, regarded as a window into the nature of existence, a portal through which creation itself steps forward. Let your eyes follow its curves. Feel the gentle invitation to move into that sacred space where two worlds touch, where something entirely new can be born. The Vesica Piscis is not just a pattern, but an archetype of union. It appeared in the iconography of many ancient cultures, carved into sacred spaces and inscribed in the geometry of temples, representing the point of emergence where life springs forth. The Vesica Piscis is more than a mere shape. It's a portal into the heart of creation, where two separate worlds overlap and something entirely new is born. Ancient philosophers and mystics saw it as the moment where spirit meets matter, where potential begins to manifest. It holds the essence of duality coming into unity, the point where opposites dissolve into harmony. It's the symbol of the space where light meets shadow, where the unseen becomes visible, and where ideas take form. Imagine yourself now, one circle, and another person, a different sphere altogether. You remain whole, complete in your own right, but the moment you allow your worlds to overlap, something new takes shape. This intersection, this shared space is where creation happens. It's the Vesica Piscis at work, reminding us that life's most powerful transformations arise not in isolation, but in the willingness to open, to connect, to share. Look deeper, and you'll see that the Vesica Piscis reveals harmony found in difference. It has been etched into ancient stone carvings, woven into the patterns of long forgotten textiles, and sketched by mathematicians seeking to uncover universal truths. The circles are distinct, yet they do not compete. They meet, and in that meeting, they create the lens through which we see that life is born from relationship, from the coming together of opposites. This space is the womb of creation, where harmony does not demand sameness, but thrives in difference. It is the place where light bends and colors merge, where ideas cross and where new life begins. As you hold this image in your mind, let it become more than a shape. Feel it as a presence, an energy that exists within you and around you. You are, in this moment, a circle, a sphere, capable of standing apart, but also capable of coming together with another to form something more. And in that shared space, you touch the very essence of creation. This is the gift of the Vesica Piscis, a quiet reminder that from the union of multiple comes the birth of the infinite.
We are a spiral. We are a spiral. We are a spiral coming home. We are a spiral. We are a spiral. We are a spiral coming home. We are a spiral. We are a spiral. We are a spiral coming home.
Multi-religious, multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-gender. We live in a world of multis and multitudes, and aren't we lucky for that? The reality is that very few things in this world were meant to be homogeneous or binary. We simply are not made that way. Nothing in nature is. If it were, the world could never have evolved into the dynamic, complex, and beautiful diversity we have today. It would not be Earth. Complexity is not something to be feared. It is something to be honored and desired. After all, if a species does not mix its DNA, it will die off. Dr. Ibrahim Baba, a spiritual leader who was a professor at Starr King for more than 2 decades and served as provost here as well, said that we are multi-issue people because we are part of an interdependent web of all beings, that we are all intertwined in both our history and our destiny. His teachings celebrated these complexities in humans and in the Earth's numerous species. He celebrated what he called our mixities. Isn't that a fun word, mixities? And he asked, if wines can be complex and deliciously layered, why can't our religious identities also embody mixities and fluidity without automatically being interpreted as confusion or boundary blurring? He points out that no religious traditions have grown up independent of other traditions or in a vacuum. And why can't our gender, racial, and other identities embody those same mixities and fluidity without being interpreted as confusion or boundary blurring? Ibrahim Baba knew one reason, that mixities can be frightening for some people. They destabilize our artificial borders and they blur boundaries. He asked, do my complexities bother you? Knowing that some people are just far more comfortable when they can place other people in a box so they know how to treat them or rank them. But what if boundaries are meant to be blurred? Maybe mixities and boundary blurring are exactly what we need to create something new and fantastic. Maybe boundary blurring is part of what we need to save our planet. When we watch the images of the Vesica Piscis during Rachel's meditation, we saw two circles overlap each other. And when they overlapped, the boundaries of those circles became blurred and new patterns emerged. The center contained those new beautiful patterns that could only emerge because the boundaries of those separate circles overlapped. And the blurring of boundaries also exists in nature. Have you ever seen the blurred boundary created where a river runs through a desert? If you stand up on the hill overlooking a dry valley, you'll clearly see where the water runs. The greenery stands out starkly against the dry desert earth. That greenery is a blurred boundary where the water from the river permeates the desert earth and creates a wet shoreline, a shoreline that then provides nourishment for trees to grow, as well as flowers, shrubs, and other plants, who then entice the birds and the bugs and all sorts of mammals and reptiles who need water. That blurred boundary area created a whole new wetland ecosystem in the middle of the desert. That's not fearful. That's not confusing. It's a miracle. And what about tide pools, another blurred boundary area? Are tide pools a shallow part of the sea that lets itself be land when the tides are low? Or are they a part of the shore that lets itself be ocean when the tides are high? No one would dream of telling a tide pool that it has to choose a permanent state of being, either sea or land. But tide pools are not confused. They are simply two things at once. And that is nature's complexity. Land and sea, desert and wetland, these areas of blurred boundaries where nature dares to be more than one thing at a time. Those places are some of the most important ecosystems on our planet. They change entire landscapes and allow thousands of species to thrive. And maybe this is what our human species needs to survive. People who dare to be more than one thing at a time. Maybe we need to blur more boundaries to see what new human ecosystems can be created. Our current systems have been built on boundaries and borders, on separateness and division. And the numerous crises we face as a result are overwhelming. But we can take instruction from nature to stop this madness. And we can start with embracing complexity. Remember what Ibrahim Baba said about the complexity of wine? If wines can hold complex and delicious layers, so can we. I mean, really, are humans meant to be less interesting than grapes? I don't think so. So we are human. We are complex, mixed, and multi-layered. And to save ourselves, we need to blur more boundaries and let more of our circles overlap. If nature's complex blurred boundaries can build new ecosystems, imagine what can happen when we blur our human boundaries. Imagine what we can do when we embrace our mixities and our complexities. And just like the overlapping circles in the Vesica Piscis, we can create new patterns and new systems. We can create new systems that are as life nurturing as rivers in the desert and tide pools in the sea. Systems that are just and sustaining for all. Let's embrace our complexity and forge that new path. May it be so.
May it be so.
I had a bad dream that lasted too long, that started some weeks, some months, some years, some centuries ago, of way too many people, places, laws, and things telling me that my colored body was no good, that it had no value. Telling me that it could not be fat, or too tall, or too short, or too skinny. Telling me that bones and wheelchair bodies, bones and braces bodies, deaf bodies, and blind bodies were bodies without value. Telling me that we could not be colored and queer at the same time. Telling me that black and white were the only realities, and that if we were anything else, or more than one thing at a time, or, God us forbid, too many things, then we were doomed to be erased. Telling me that desire and sexualities were not fluid, telling me that everything had to be either or, telling me that we could not be shapeshifters, border bandits. Telling me that gender was fixed, and that there were only two, and that male definitely equaled superior. Telling me that I was confused, telling me that the sharing of erotic power was wrong, telling me that we could not raise our children, telling me that we could not live and work in this country because we are suspect, telling me that I could not claim a partner's body because I was not family, telling me that our relationships did not merit recognition by law, telling me that we were wrong, telling me that we were shades, shadows, half-lives, telling me that we should not be allowed to exist, telling me that we had no rights. You know what? I had a bad dream. I had a bad dream that we would forget that we were the dreamers of the dream, the tellers of the tale, the keepers of the rhythm, the tribes of the moon, the people of the rainbow, a sacred people. I had a bad dream. There can be no renewed hope, no equality and justice for all, as long as there is no equality and justice for all of us, for each one of us, with all of our madly beautiful pieces, hearts, fears, contradictions, and dreams. That there can be no postmodern, post-colonial equality and justice for all, as long as our bodies and minds are still colonized, are still kept as someone's occupied territories, as long as dreams are still squashed, as long as queers and Chumash and post-nuclear Pacific Islanders and Bosnians and Filipinas and women with cervical cancer and Miwoks and Yokus and Iraqis and Kurds and immigrants and women with HIV and Chechens and Kashmiris and Filipino Moros and poor colored bush dykes and mixed blood people, drag kings and drag queens and Rwandans and Israeli refugees and people living with HIV and Palestinians and Chicanas and pagan leather queers and South Asians and people without health care and intersex and polysex and Puerto Ricanas and transgender Sufis and black folks and sex workers and Persian Muslims and Ethiopian Jews and Chechens and Chinese Muslims and Mayu and Pomu and Muslims and people with disabilities and Sri Lankan freedom fighters and prisoners and Asian teenagers, Kashmiri, homeless people and Arabs and who knows how many others of all sizes, shapes, colors, and combinations of all of the above and then some continue to be made erased, to be suffocated, to be killed. You are my sweet dream. Through you, I live on from generation to generation, from everlasting to everlasting, and fiercely, proudly, tenderly, queerly, I come home to run, to fly, to float, to shout, to say, no more nightmares, fulfill my sweet dream.
No more nightmares. Fulfill my sweet dream. I read now a selection from Anastasia from Thunder Perfect Mind, the ancient liturgy, poetic devotion in first person from the Nag Hammadi, a Coptic text that is one of the first found devotions. I am the one who has been hated everywhere and who has been loved everywhere. I am the one whom they call life and you have called death. I am the one whom they call law and you have called lawlessness. I am the one whom you have pursued and I am the one whom you have seized. I am the one whom you have scattered and you have gathered me together. I am the one before whom you have been ashamed and you have been shameless to me. I am she who does not keep festival, and I am she whose festivals are many. I am godless, and I am the one whose God is great. I am the sound of the name, and I am the name of the sound. I am the sound of the name, and I am the name of the sound. I am the sound of the name. I am the name of the sound. I am the sound of the name, and I am the name of the sound.
We turn now to our time of prayer. As we enter into this time, I invite you once again to bring attention to your body. Feel the in and out of your breath, the beating of your heart. Feel the solidness of the ground where you're sitting or standing. Imagine the deep expanse of the earth stretching far out beneath you. If it feels available to you, I invite you to draw close your sources of love, guidance, and support. Beloved ancestors, divine by any name, the spirit of love and connection itself. Surround yourself with all of the love and support available to you in this moment. We all carry so much complexity with us, multitudes that are not easily named or accounted for. Today, many of us are carrying enormous sorrow, heartbreak in our own lives, in the lives of our communities. Heartbreak for the devastation of floods and storms. Heartbreak for the overwhelming, escalating violence of genocide and war. May we make space for the fullness of that sorrow. May we allow ourselves to feel our necessary grief for this world and for all that we carry. And in a harmony that does not demand sameness, we also bring with us gratitude, joy, and abundant love into this time. When we feel the truth of our complexity, hold to it fiercely. We know that our gratitude and our joy live always alongside our grief. We know that we are expanded by our ability and sometimes our insistence to feel both. As we hold that insistence of both and, ever-expanding space for all of our multitudes. I invite you to consider what you're bringing with you today that you may want to share for our witness and support. Please share any sorrows, hopes, celebrations, heartaches, and longings that are on your heart to share in community in the chat. If you would like additional support in the form of pastoral care, please share that in the chat as well. And Pastor Jacqueline will respond over the next 2 days. As you are ready, I now invite you to begin sharing in the chat. Honoring all that we're holding, whether shared or held quietly in our hearts. The immense gratitude for this community and for the multitudes that each of us contain. May our prayers be heard, and may they be held in love.
And we have now
I'll read another choice. Anastasia. Oh. No one told me who I was supposed to be that year for Halloween. And so I went as a ballerina. And you all went as Power Rangers. I tried to make a mask out of my soft pink tutu, but only ended up smothering myself and getting laughed at. And I now understand how it feels to be clinging to your face all night wearing someone else's pants. But back then you just walked faster and I watched you from behind and tried to imagine your front was mine, your long strides were mine. And it was my first knocking at stranger's door until I pass myself in a window and remember I'm the one wrapped in lace. And I'm the one, the soft one. And I'm the silence, I'm the concrete. And I'm these legs running and I'm these lungs breathing. And I'm a door opening.
Thank you for that offering by Cole Arthur Riley from Black Liturgies, Running Home. With such gratitude to all who have woven this space, and with such gratitude for you who have co-woven this space through your devotion of attention, through your showing upness, through your gathering in community, in connection with each other, with ourselves, with what is beyond. It is a gift to be in shared presence, weaving, holding, being multitudes together with a prayer that our prayers ripple for goodness in the world, be heard in all of the places of the deep, all of the spaces that most need them, all of the web of life, creation, singing for what is most alive in our hearts, what we most yearn for, giving thanks for prayer answered beyond even our wildest dreams, asking the question, what is the best possible thing that could happen, and not presuming we know the answer, leaving space for healing, for collective liberation, for wholeness, for magnificence beyond even our wildest dreams, within the sweetest dream. Thank you for your presence here. We come to completion with our closing chant.
Hey, 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 child. Hey, child. Hey, child. Hey, child. Come, 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 come out and pray. Hey, child. Hey, child. Hey, child. Hey, child. Come, Pray out and pray.
Thank you all for the gift of this gathering. We come to completion and wish such blessing for you on your day and on your way.